Hello beautiful souls, welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny and today I'm here with some full moon messages for you. This full moon is taking place February 27th overnight. It's 3:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so the overnight of the 27th. But of course, you can experience the full moon energies for up to an entire week. So like 3 or 4 days beforehand, 3 or 4 days after is a very powerful time of this energetic portal. Now, full moons are generally, based around themes of releasing and healing. And this full moon goes really deep into healing messages. So deeper into a new layer of healing in 5 different areas of your life. So before we jump into these healing messages and this beautiful guidance from our full moon, I just want to remind you all to please click like on the video, share this video, and please make sure that you are subscribed with notifications turned on. When you subscribe, then you'll receive 3 new videos every single week. I have videos every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. So without further ado, let's jump right in. The first area for this very deep healing that's coming through is your childhood. Now, this may come up for you in different ways, but this is an energy that's very prevalent right now in the Earth atmosphere of energy. So that energetic grid that covers the planet, with the intensity of this full moon energy as well, plus all of the ascension energies on the planet, we are going through a lot of releasing and healing, and things are really coming up right now. So in this particular area of childhood, the way that things can come up is through dreams. I'll often have a dream where I am in the house that I grew up in. So like I dream that I'm back in that same house. Or you might dream about any other situation from childhood, or you might just dream of your parent or your sibling. So it can come up through dreams when it's wanting to come up to be addressed. So it comes up when it wants attention, right? And remember that whatever's coming up is ready to leave. But in order to do so, it has to be addressed, felt, and fully healed. So it may be coming up through dreams, but it also might just be coming through as like a flash memory. Sometimes you're just doing something and you have this weird flash of like this little like movie reel, like a little story of something that you did when you were a kid. Like, oh, remember when we went strawberry picking, for instance. That's a really funny memory of mine. Or just something like that, like any kind of flash memory. And that, again, is a signal that, hey, pay attention to me, like I'm looking for some healing. It's been unlocked, right? So if it's kind of been buried, whether that's in your heart chakra or somewhere in your mental energy, it's now being unlocked and coming up for air to be released. And finally, the third way that it can come through is just through spending time with your parents or your siblings, your immediate family that you grew up with. So sometimes just spending time with them can unlock energies, emotions, memories, situations, old feelings, everything. So when we are kids, our entire reality is under the control of someone else. Our parents are controlling our reality and often even creating most of our reality at that time because they're our primary caregivers. They set out everything, the entire matrix of the belief systems, the schedule of where you're going to be, and you're like a little sponge that absorbs everything. So basically, your parents are the creators of your childhood to a large extent. Of course, we are our own creators in there, especially us starseeds who are super weird little kids with our own worlds and imaginary friends and ideas, and that's so beautiful. But still, the majority, it would have felt like the majority of the control was your parents had over you. So your power in this is knowing that now as an adult, no one can control you. No one can control your reality and create it for you. Now that you're an adult, you are in complete creatorship. You've stepped into the role of the authority on what you allow into your life and what you're actually creating as you're going. So that is a huge relief to most people. that you are no longer being controlled or under the control of anyone else, and no one is influencing your reality except yourself. And that is through our frequency, right? Which we've talked about so much. Your frequency is the average state that you're in, like all of your chakras combined, all of your emotions and beliefs, everything combines into an average. And that average, that frequency, is sent out into the world like a beacon. And what it does is bring back to you all of the matching circumstances. They're just reflections of where you're at on your journey. So we have complete control of what we want to create in our worlds because we have complete control of our frequency. And we can raise our frequency up into a better life if we're not happy. And we definitely have talked about many, many ways to raise your frequency. But if you want to hear more about raising your frequency, then please leave a comment in the comment section below that that's something that you're interested in as a video. So your power is in that realization. And your healing is in the way that you treat your inner child. Your inner child is not just some like new age, like woo-woo, silly idea or like vapid, word. It really is something. Your inner child is a true facet of yourself. So our souls have different facets to them. We have inner child, we have facets of every single past life, and as a whole, it creates who we are. And we also have the facets of divine feminine and divine masculine. So there is a lot to it. So your healing, when it comes to your childhood, is in the way that you treat your inner child. This is the time to become the parent you always wish you had. And this is the time to treat yourself the way that you wish that you had been treated. So we can give our inner child a ton of attention, love, compassion. We can allow them to be free to express themselves. And you can tap into your inner child in so many ways. Of course, through meditation, but also through playfulness and silliness. Also through having a conversation. I talk to myself out loud all the time. It's totally crazy, but it's not, because it's this multi-dimensional way of existing within realities and communicating with these other aspects of ourselves. So your inner child is you as a child in this incarnation, which still exists because everything is happening in the now moment. This is all timelines. That's why I was doing that. All of these timelines are existing at the same time. So you are still a child in this reality, and yet you are your present self, and yet you are your elderly self. It all happens at once. So hard to wrap our minds around the fact that life is not linear. It's this quantum reality where everything happens simultaneously. So we don't need to get too far into that because it's a really deep and difficult understanding about time and letting go of your beliefs about time. But just know that your inner child exists right now and that you can communicate with them. You can travel to see them through your meditations, through your astral travel, and give them advice. You can give them a heads up on things that are coming their way. You can give them comfort and compassion, and you can be proud of them and show up for them. And that will be felt as a ripple effect, and it is so, so healing. So just remember that how you treat your inner child is the facet or the amount of healing that you'll be able to experience. So it's so, so important to show up for them in a very supportive and loving way. So the next area coming up for deep healing is in our relationships. Now, this doesn't have to be romantic relationships. This can be friendships. This can be family. But I will say that the majority of our lessons and learning do come from romantic relationships. And this is because nobody can push your buttons and trigger you like your partner, because nobody lives with you and knows you that well. And they've also signed on, with a soul contract to be your partner, and they're a part of your soul group, just as your family is. So very important relationship. Now, what you're going to want to do in this area is look for the repeating similarities in issues that come up. So for instance, in your romantic history, so in your relationship history, do you always have issues that come up around communication or around finance or around trust? So always having trust issues in every single relationship or intimacy issues in every single relationship? Like, what is it that is repeating? Because the repeating is a lesson that you're not getting. Maybe you're making a little bit of progress on it, but it's still coming up to be healed. So it's going to continue to come up. And it will come up in all of the areas of your life, like with the friends and the family and the work relationships, in whatever way that it can present itself in an acceptable fashion. But, intimacy issues can be felt throughout all of these kinds of relationships. So if you keep finding that you're struggling with like communication, then there's something there, there's more there to learn. So really, really dive into this. You can write out all of the issues that you're having and recognize where the limits are. Like in either you not feeling like you're being heard or being misunderstood or you not listening, like there's something there to be healed. And so these lessons repeat themselves over and over and over, right in our face. Like it's so obvious, especially like I said, with romantic relationships. If you keep dating the same kind of person or keep having this exact same problem, well, it's probably not the other person then, is it? If it's continually coming up, it's coming from you. Again, the best thing that you can do here, beyond the self-work and the shadow work of like meditating on it, journaling about it, really trying to dive in and figure it out, other than that, something even simpler that you can do that's so powerful is to just treat your partner the way that you want to be treated. And when things start going off the rails a little bit or you're having fights, keep that in mind. Are you putting yourself in their shoes to try to be compassionate and understand where they're coming from? And are you treating them the way you want to be treated? Would you want to be spoken to like that? Would you want to be communicated with like that? It's just limitless, the things that you can learn from treating someone or attempting to and doing your best at treating your partner the way that you want to be treated. So in order to do this, you need to know how you want to be treated. You need to understand what's important to you. And, a little discussion with them goes a long way, especially when it's done calmly and peacefully. But just really keep in mind that very simple golden rule. If you give what you want to receive, then you will start receiving it. But whatever you're receiving back from them at this time, if you're not happy with it, it's generally a reflection of what you're putting out there too. So it takes two to tango, right? So just really keep that in mind. Don't fall into victim mentality because you lose all of your power. When you take responsibility and then take action on it, you're in the driver's seat again. And you can make really smart decisions about your romantic relationships at that point. So the next area that is coming up for deep healing is your past lives. So this is very, very interesting and can get a little bit tricky or confusing in recognizing that that's what's coming up. So there are many ways that this can be coming up for you, but if you are having memories of yourself in another time period or in another family or in another relationship, if you are in your astral travels, like in your dream space or during meditation, whenever you choose to kind of travel outside of your body, if you're coming across the same environments over and over again, the same landscapes, the same themes, the same scenarios, then that's a really good indicator. For me, I will often dream of myself as a different character. Like I had this dream that I was this like short girl with black hair working at a restaurant. I think I was a waitress. And I literally lived that dream. I did my entire shift. And it felt normal, like I didn't even realize, like you just become that person. And then I was ready to, leave after my shift and go do something, I don't know, at home or personal. And then I woke up and I was like, what was that? Like talk about parallel lifetimes. It was so real. Like I took orders, I served people, I was behind the bar. Like it's just like, you can't make this stuff up. Like it's just crazy how crisp and real it gets. And I will say that the more that you work with meditation and visualization, the easier these things are to come to you. So if you're not having like epic dreams like this, then practice more visualization, because your third eye needs practice to work, right? And our imaginations are the best practice that there is. So during my meditations, I will often just visualize things. As soon as a third eye trick is, if you start it with imagination and visualization, then it will pick up and take over. So if you're not sure how to get started, like for instance, if you want to have a meeting with your team, start imagining and visualizing with your eyes closed that you are with your team in whatever setting works for you, like sitting down in a library, like the Akashic Records, or, in some kind of like a meeting place, or somewhere comfy, or somewhere like a fantasy that works for you. Then start picturing each one of them and where would they be sitting and how would they be, reacting to your words. And then start imagining that you're starting the meeting like, okay, this is what I want to talk about. It will pick up from there. You will all of a sudden actually be having that meeting, because you're in a very, like if you're in a meditation or doing this before you fall asleep, which is also a really cool way to do it, because then you fall asleep and your soul takes over. Oh, okay, we're doing that. Okay. And it goes and it actually has the meeting. And you will remember it as a dream, but it is a real experience. And in meditation, if you do this, all of a sudden you'll realize that you're not really necessarily in the driver's seat anymore. It's just happening now. Now you're having this meeting, and these guides of yours are saying things that you're not making up. Like it's a really good way to get things flowing. So that's a wonderful third eye trick, and a way to have astral experiences or visit your past lives. It's exactly the same. If I want to visit a particular self version of me in a particular past life that I already know of, then I just start picturing myself as them. And I start trying to look around and see what the scenery would look like. And, I tap into who I was in that lifetime, the name, the gender, all of those things. If you want to tap into a past life that you don't know, then you can just start to imagine, well, who would I have been in a past life? What time period do I resonate with? Like Egyptian, medieval, like there's so many. What planet, and just start the process through the imagination, and your soul will take over. Try it out. Let me know what you think. It's super powerful and very accurate. So the easiest way to heal this part of your life, this past life part, is just with your intention. So like if you have a disturbing experience with a past life, like if you wake up from a dream that was upsetting, do it right then. Don't wait. Just hands over heart, start sending that past life, that version of you, that character, so much love. Speak to them in your mind or out loud, whatever you're more comfortable with. Send them love and healing, and then call in your angels for help. And they will swoop in, like Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael. Of course, those two are like powerhouses of healing, clearing, and happy to work with you at any time. You're never bothering them. They can be so many places at once. They definitely will show up for you. And just send the healing right away in the moment, because that's when it's fresh and that's when the connections are right there. So that's usually like right after a dream or a meditation. Just send the healing right then. However, you can have an intentional healing session at any time. And in order to do this, you can just go into like a very relaxed state, lie down if you'd like, put on some soft music, and start sending the healing into your heart. For past lives, I find the heart chakra is the best place to go, but your hands may be guided somewhere else. Go with it, flow with it. Maybe you had maybe you were shot in a past life, and you want to put your hands here for healing, or maybe on your side or wherever. Just trust and go with it, and be open to visuals coming through. Use your imagination. And this again is where I would call in my guide or angels to help me with this healing, and state my intention, like I want to heal any past lives that are in need of healing right now, and I want to do so deeply and specifically. Please help me. And then just trust and go with it. It's so much about intuition, the hand placements, the thoughts, the vibrations that you send. You really have to trust yourself, and you have to be willing to try things and just go there. So these you might notice these past lives coming up now at this time for healing through any of the ways mentioned here, the memories, the dreams, the astral experiences. If you are, please let us know in the comment section down below. I always love hearing about your past life connections. And if you're in need of healing with any of that, then, hit me up, let me know. We can do a healing session together for sure. I do have past life readings as well, and then healing services. So you can always find that through the link in the description box below. The next area that's coming up for deep healing is our emotional bodies, our emotional selves. So a lot of this is going to be either divine feminine or divine masculine. So our bodies, our souls are trying to create a balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine within us. This is also a process that's happening out in the world as well. So the microcosm, the smaller aspect or scale, would be within, and then the macrocosm of this would be like on a literal worldwide scale of humanity and energies, where the divine feminine is coming up, rising up to meet the divine masculine, so that there can be balance and peace in the world, and so much more connection and wisdom. So much comes through balance, right? So you might find this coming up with one or the other. If the divine feminine is coming up for healing right now, you're going to feel this as extreme emotions. So you will just all of a sudden start crying, and it doesn't really seem maybe relative to what you're doing. It is so important not to stop it. Every time you stuff back your tears, bite the inside of your cheek, close your eyes tight, whatever you do to make it stop and push it back down, you are doing so much harm to yourself when you do that. You're creating real blocks. You have to stay in flow. It's time that we start living vulnerably. And the things that want to come up, we accept and allow them because we stay in flow. So please, if something, anger, frustration, an outburst, tears, laughter out of nowhere, allow it to flow. You are not going crazy. You are healing. And the divine feminine is all about expression through emotions and flow. So allow it to flow. The divine feminine can be healed just through this flow, just by allowing. And once you have your cry or whatever it is, whatever emotion comes up, you'll feel so much better after, like a huge release. However, you can do introspection. So go into deep thought about why that came up, what it was attached to. And then you can also communicate that with a loved one. And that goes such a long ways for healing as well. You may start to, I use tears as an example because you guys all know I'm a crybaby. And that's okay, right? Like, I'm definitely embracing that side of myself way more than normal. I remember a time where I never cried. Like, I would not allow myself to, because I was taught as a child that was weakness. And so it's really different for me to just, embody the divine feminine and allow things to flow like this. And so sometimes when I feel that rising up, those tears, and I allow it to happen. I don't even know sometimes why I'm crying. But once it, works itself out and kind of like ends, like the flow comes up and then it subsides, then the understanding is always there. It's always like, it just comes to the forefront of your mind, the reason why you're feeling emotional or sad or whatever. And that is a very potent time to either journal, which is communication with yourself, or communicate with a loved one about what just happened, right when it's fresh like that. So that's divine feminine. If the divine masculine is coming up in need of healing right now, that's going to come up as a feeling of frustration and a feeling of not being heard or validated. Like, you feel like nobody is listening, nobody's understanding, nobody's on the same page. It's very frustrating, and you also feel like you're not receiving the validation that you crave. So maybe you worked really hard on something and then no one noticed. Or maybe it was your birthday and nobody noticed. Or maybe you went a little bit further, not on maybe not always a physical project, but maybe you went further in a relationship with communication than you normally do, and you didn't get back great job, you're doing, you're really growing. You didn't get the validation that you wanted. That will really frustrate and disempower and disappoint the divine masculine, who really needs the validation on a regular basis. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that the validation that you're craving is the validation from yourself. Truly. And I know that that's hard to believe, but if you're craving it and feeling like something is missing, you're not giving it to yourself. And as soon as you start to validate yourself and build yourself up with your thoughts and your words and your self-talk, it has to be supportive and building you up. As soon as you start to do that, all of a sudden, you'll notice that it's happening in all your relationships as well, because you created the flow of it. It has to come from you first. How we treat ourselves is how others treat us, right? So go outside, because the divine masculine and the divine feminine, love fresh air. This is very healing. Go somewhere where you can get some fresh air and give yourself a pep talk. Or have a shower, because the water is also very cleansing, just like fresh air, and give yourself a pep talk. And really, truly dig in and tell yourself all the things that you're doing really well and are very proud of. Like, you know what? Look at how far I've come. Like, look at what I just accomplished. And I've done this. Yeah, man, I'm feeling so good. That's my example of divine masculine for you. But it's true. Like, we need both. We need divine feminine. We need divine masculine. We have both within us. We carry both within us. The sacral chakra, the womb energy, the creation, is your divine feminine. And then the solar plexus chakra, which is right above that, is your divine masculine energy of taking action and getting things done. The power is in when the two have a healthy bridge between them. Because what is all of these beautiful, intuitive, creative ideas without action to back them up? But what is empty action without inspiration? So it's both. We need both. So what is coming up for you right now? Is it the feminine or is it the masculine? Because it could be either. It doesn't matter what your gender is. I hope you understand that we each need the balance of both within us. And whatever one is imbalanced is going to come up to be noticed, right? So for me, like I said, it's the divine feminine coming up. So that's what needs to be brought up, strengthened, and increased in order to balance out my personal energy. So which one is it for you? Make sure to pay attention to that and really give it the attention that it needs. The last area that's coming up for this deep healing is the physical healing. So this is going to probably be showing up as extreme exhaustion. And that is so frustrating, I know. And it's like we go through these bouts of exhaustion and then we start to feel better and then it feels like it comes right back. And it's like, it's hard to surrender to it, but that is exactly what we need to do. When we get into like resistance mode and try to push through just for the sake of being productive, we make it last so much longer. Whereas if we would just surrender to it and sleep for a couple of days, it'd be over, right? So you've got to find a balance that works for you in your life, but try to surrender to it as much as you can. So the exhaustion is coming because of the internal transformations that are happening. All of these energies, all of this ascension. This is an ascension symptom, basically, right? But it's also a symptom of deep healing. It's exhausting. There is so much happening within your body on all of these levels, like your light body, your energy body, your aura, your spirit, your soul, your connections with the divine, your connections with Gaia. Everything's being upgraded. Everything's going through this alchemy, this transformation. That's exhausting. You also might be feeling like you're craving dense foods. So I guess dense foods to me would be like carbs, sugar, maybe just larger portions than normal, or maybe kind of like junk foods too. And you're going to go through these periods of like binging, like craving it so bad and then being disgusted by it, like nauseous. Like, I don't want anything actually. I just want some lemon water. And then you go back into the binge and it's kind of this back and forth. The dense foods, the cravings for that comes from your place of your body needing to heal, and it's bringing you back into your body. So dense foods bring your soul down into your body, right? It brings your body down, grounding. It grounds your body and your spirit together so that a deeper healing can occur. So, we exist outside and above our bodies far too often, and it's very, very powerful to be grounded in your body. And if you're experiencing cravings for dense foods, it's a sign that you need to ground into your body more. So if you don't want to like eat all this gross food, but you're just craving it so much, try to ground yourself in other ways and the cravings will probably lessen. So if you can, I can't right now because it's winter and snowy, but if you can go barefoot outside, amazing. But if not, then just go outside. There's nothing more grounding in the world than the world itself. So go spend time with Gaia. And even in the winter, there is so much life out there, right? There is so much beauty, and it's the fresh air itself that's very grounding. And I noticed the other day on a walk, I was walking over like a really snowy, icy area, and then there had been some melt, and so there was like some ground exposed, like some dirt, and I felt the difference without even like consciously trying to. I walked over the icy hard part, and then I walked through the ground for a bit, and then I got back up to the icy part, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, that felt really different. And I went back to the ground, and I could feel like a powerful vibration coming from the earth. And we miss that in the winter here in Canada because everything's got this huge crust of snow and ice over it. And so I just kind of relished that and danced around on that spot for a bit like a kid and really embraced that Gaia energy. So get earthy wherever you can, even if it's a small patch of dirt, but embrace the outdoors and embrace being inside your body. Another really great way to get grounded is to move your body in any way. A walk or exercise or yoga or stretching. It brings you back into your body and keeps you grounded. So with all of these different ways, all of these 5 areas that this deep healing is coming up, the best thing that you can do is surrender to it and trust. Because when you let go, you get in the flow. And remember that it's all medicine. Everything is medicine. It's either you upgrading yourself, and these are just the symptoms of that, or it's things coming up to be healed, which are medicine. It's lessons. It's all for a higher purpose. None of this is happening for no reason. So when we view it like that, this is our soul journey. This is what it looks like. This is the journey of ascension and transformation and evolution of consciousness. And sometimes, it can be uncomfortable, like some of these symptoms. But if you view it as medicine, then it retains that beauty and that magic to it. Finally, one of the most important things that you can do is to stay present in it. Don't fall into the trap of escapism just because you feel uncomfortable either in your body, in your energy, or in your life. If you start that cycle, you will get lost in it. Stay present. Stay in your life. Stay in the body. Stick with it, flow through it. You will gain so much wisdom from it, and then you won't have those repeating lessons because you got it the first time, right? You will just grow in this powerful way, and you won't be holding yourself back on your growth. You'll just skyrocket in your growth because you surrendered to it and you stayed in the moment and in the presence instead of escaping. So I hope that this was helpful to you. You might find that only one of these areas is coming up for you during this full moon. So this was like a collective, here's the 5 main things that are happening. Maybe you have 1 or 2, maybe you have all 5. I mean, it's definitely possible to have more than these 5, right? There's a lot going on. I know a lot of us, just from speaking to so many of you, are really feeling the exhaustion part. But let me know in the comments if there's more. Which one resonated with you, and then what else are you experiencing? Because when you do that and when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and you share in that way, you'll find so many of the people in this community are also going through what you're going through. You were never alone. There's always at least one other soul feeling the way you're feeling. So just remember that. We're all on this journey together. We all came together, and we're all going to get through it together. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, check out my link in the description to work with me one-on-one, which I love doing with all of you. And before we go, please remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within. Because you are so much more than the body you are in. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.